Welcome back everyone. Today we're looking at a fat bike. You don't see many of these around, do you? This is actually a pretty good one though, to be fair. Not like the cheap rubbish you normally get. This is quite a good one. So we've got a few bits and pieces to do on it. We've got a dropper post to look at. I'm going to strip down the rear derailleur, give that a good service, and take the bottom bracket and headset out, make sure they're all okay. Check the tyres, need some sealant in it because it is actually set up as tubeless. I'll just give it a once over and a bit of a clean, so stick around. Yeah, you don't see many of these, do you? It's actually, like I say, it's quite good parts on it, SLX, rock shocks and whatnot, so it is actually a pretty decent bike underneath these ridiculous tyres. I don't get these things, but apparently they're pretty good to ride on snow and stuff like that. So anyway, it needs a service, so we're going to have a look at this. So we're going to service the derailleur. Dropper cable's got an external cable, but it's pretty stiff, so we're going to just run a new liner through there. Have a look at it. Take this bottom bracket out. I'm going to see if we can slightly improve this chain line because it's incredibly close to this tyre here. So we might be able to play with these spaces and just move this over ever so slightly as well. So we'll pull that out. Massive, everything's massive. I'm going to drop this headset, just make sure that's all okay as well. I think this fork's done probably less than 50 hours according to the customer. So that's okay, we're just going to give that a good clean up. Like I say, some really nice bits and pieces on this bike. So sun ring or hubs. There's no cheap rubbish on this, it's very nice. The tyres look incredibly low, but he has specified that he wants 11 PSI in the rear and 9 PSI in the front tyre, so apparently it may need a drop of sealant, so we'll have a look at that as well. Look at the size of this. Let's get this chain off. Actually, before we do that, let's just run through these gears, see if they actually work. We've not done that yet. In a fashion, well, it's not going down to here. Oh, that lever's very stiff. Yeah, they don't work, do they? Right, we're having a new gear cable in here as well. The lever feels incredibly stiff. Wow. Brakes work well. Do we have a quick link? Yes, we do. I don't think this is the quick link that came with the chain. This is a SRAM chain. This looks like a aftermarket quick link. This chain is also bone dry. So we've got a right mixed match of bits and pieces here. We've got a SRAM chain, Shimano SLX derailleur, and we've got a Sunrace cassette. All these parts are compatible though, when they're set up properly. Right, so I'm going to change that gear cable, so I'm just going to literally pull this out now. And we take the derailleur off, give this a good service as well. I'm going to drop the wheel first, so that's going to make life a lot easier. Everything is just massive. That's what she said. Look at the size of this axle. I'm quite looking forward to giving this a spin when it's actually working. It's a crazy thing. That's a 5mm. You know, one day they're going to decide if they want to put a 4 or a 5 here. It keeps me on my toes, doesn't it? You can't say I don't give you variety on this channel, can you? You had tandems, you had fat bikes, you had e-bikes, you had full suspension bikes, you had £13,000 road bikes. I try to give you a bit of everything. What I'm trying to avoid is cutting these cable ties because I don't have any fluorescent yellow or green, whatever they are, cable ties. I need to try and avoid cutting them if at all possible. We've got paint all over it as well, so I think it's been hiding in the shed for a while. Never mind, we'll give it a good clean up. We've dropped this ridiculous front wheel as well. Let's get this crank off. Bottom bracket feels lovely as well, so that's good. Bonus. That says an 8mm on the back of this. I'll just spin it around so we can get to this bolt on this one here. So there's two caps on here. There's 10mm outside one is the extracting cap basically, so that stays put. And then there's an 8mm bolt inside there that pulls against that 10mm and pulls the crank off. I'm normally using an air gun, but I'm just going to go with an Allen key while I've got it in my hand. It's normally damn tight. Whew. Well, I was in the way of the camera there, but basically what I was doing is put one hand on the crank there and one on the Allen key and just basically squeeze my hands together. That just cracked it off. Pretty tight that was, but normally I use an air gun, but I thought I'd show you a different way, even though I stood in front of the camera. You just literally, you use mechanical advantage, you just squeeze yourself. It's always easier to squeeze and pull, I find. It's greased, it's been put together well. And if it doesn't push through, don't be afraid to give it a bit of a light tap with a soft mallet on this one. That'll come through there. It's actually a pretty lightweight bike actually for considering the size. You think it'd weigh a ton, but it's no heavier than a normal bike really. Bit of corrosion on there, but the middle bit doesn't really make any difference. It's the bearing surfaces that we're concerned about. If there's excessive wear on there, better surface corrosion there, it's not going to be any problem. However, there's some bits and pieces in here that I don't like the look of. I think it's just crusty old grease. Let's see what spaces we've got in here, because like I say, we do want to try and potentially put it over a couple of millimetres. So there's one spacer here. Have a look on their website. I think it's probably a SRAM unit. They do give good instructions on how many spaces you should put on either side, but don't be afraid to experiment a little bit if need be. Like I say, the tyre on this bike is wider than it should be. That's why we need to potentially move it over. So there's one spacer here, and on the other side there's one spacer as well. So potentially what we're going to do is put both spacers on this side here and none on the non-drive side. So we'll see how that goes. Right, let's just take this out. So we'll play a game of bottom bracket roulette. Which one is it? I know it's not this one, but there's quite a few different ones still. I think I know which one it is, but just for a bit of fun. I like to torment myself. Not that one, not that one, not that one. There you go, that one. It's normally the last one, not the second last one. Right, so we're going to take this out so it's on our left-hand thread, so it'll unscrew clockwise. I'm going to use a brake bar on this one, nice long one. 2 foot, should come out fairly easily. Clockwise, remember. There you go, not too bad. And once you've broken it loose, it'll come out no problem with your hand, look, like this. That's out. So the left-hand club has a normal thread, so it'll unscrew anti-clockwise. Not too bad either. Yeah, break a bar if you ain't got one. Get you out of all sorts of situations. No, I say normally I just run it for the air impact gun, but I thought I'd show you a couple of different bits this time. There's no sleeve in here, it's just full of crud. Nice. Have a look at these brake pads while we're here. Right, so there's loads of life left on these. These look practically brand new, so we'll leave them as they are. The brakes were feeling pretty good as well. Same on the front, there's loads of beef left on there, look practically brand new as well. I'll blow them down with the airline just to get any debris out of there and just clean around them, but they're on a split pin, so there's no point taking them out for taking out sake because we need to replace the split pin then, so it's just a waste of material. They're working beautifully as they are. Right, so I'm just going to spin it around now. We're going to drop this headset, have a look inside there. If you can get your bike in the stand like this, it makes headsets a lot easier because you're not worrying about things falling out. You've got all the control here just to take things off and put them on a table if need be, and the fork on a table. If you take it out when it's vertical, everything just drops out. So we'll just pull this off now. Spin this out. Drop these 4 mils off. Just remember where the spaces are if it's not your bike. Do all on the bottom on this one. That's easy. Just before you drop that out, make sure you've got a table or something to support everything on. We'll just pull this off now. Sits on the table, no problem. Pull these spaces off. Give her a little bit of a tap. Just to break, there's an O-ring in here basically holding it together normally. That'll come off. There's your compression ring. This is in good shape. Compression ring and bearing come out there. A little bit of grit in there. Pull the fork out and drop them on this table. That's it. So if you have a table underneath, it just makes life a lot easier if you've got one. This part tool table, one of the best things I bought in this workshop. It's 3 years, 4 years old now. Indestructible. So that's the empty headset now. We've still got the cups here. It's a semi-integrated headset. The cups will stay in the frame unless you're obviously replacing the headset. So we're just going to wipe them down, give her a good clean. Check the bearings for any grittiness or roughness. They feel absolutely beautiful, as does the bottom one. Feels pretty much as good as new. So we'll just put these back in with some fresh grease, clean off any grit and whatnot, put it all back together. I think this bike has been repainted by the owner. He's not done a bad job, to be fair. They either come out really well or just a complete disaster, and I think this one actually looks quite good. Just going to drop a bit of grease in here, same on the bottom. This is purely to stop the bearings seizing into these cups, but normally they're pretty good in these. Clean these bearings up. I'm not going to open them up and put grease in it or anything daft like that. You see that on Instagram, but honestly it's just nonsense. If you've got real posh ceramic bearings, then potentially you can do it, but on these they're so cheap. If you've got an issue, just put a new one in. But these are literally as good as new. Generous amount of grease on here and just basically coat it around. It's literally just for corrosion. And a little bit of extra sealing around here. Put that back in. Same on that one. Just clean the crown as well. Again, just a dab of grease. This is Mobile XHP Trouble 2 grease, in case you're wondering. I did a video on greases and I think you should know by now it's probably my favourite grease. It's not a cycle specific one, but it is a fantastic grease. And it's what Enduro bearings actually supply it in their bearings, so it must be good. Alright, so now we can put this compression ring back on. Top spacer, that's nice and clean as well, so there's an O-ring in here. Make sure you get just a little bit of grease on there, it just stops it seizing up and makes installation and removal a lot easier, like that. Put your spacers back on the right way. So headsets is really all about prevention rather than cure really most of the time. So just keep this clean and grit out of there and a bit of fresh grease just to stop the bearings corroding into the frame, then that's good practice for the 5 minutes it takes. And just drop this bar back on. Nice. So I'm just going to rock my bar side to side now. I don't feel any play at all in that headset, so that feels good. So I'm going to offset this bar and fork at sort of 30 degrees or so, just temporarily tighten these up. And what that'll do is it'll remind you these are not torqued yet, because obviously you can't align it to the wheel while it's in the stand like this. Just nip it up and then we can align it and torque it properly later. There's plenty of rubbish in this bottom bracket we need to clean out. It's literally, I don't know what it is, grit, I don't know, it's pretty disgusting there. So give this a damn good clean. Use a brass brush for this normally initially, doesn't damage the threads. It's nicely faced on here as well, decent frames. And a bit of WD-14 here to just help clean it up as well. And again, just keep running that through there until it's spotless. And twist the brush at the same time, it will obviously clean the threads rather than just backwards and forwards. It already looks pretty good from here. Right, that looks a bit better. I'm going to clean these up now because they're full of the same rubbish. Easy wipe down. So I'm going to reassemble this now. I'm not going to put the other spacer on this. I've decided against it because basically you'd have sort of 5mm spacer here and you'd be restricting how much thread's actually in the frame then. So we're going to go with the 2.5 that's already on here and the 2.5 on the other side. He's not having a problem with the tyre rubbing, he just asked if it was possible, but looking at this, I think we'd be pushing our luck with how many threads are in the frame, so we'll put it back together how it was. Let's just get some grease on this first. So it should screw in pretty easily. Get this torqued up after we've got the other side in. Nice and tight for now. Clean the other cup. And pop these out as well, so I forgot to tell you, you can pop these out and put some grease in here. This is really clean anyway, but just put a bit of grease behind here. Again, just as a sort of water barrier more than anything. You can change the bearings on these. You just pop this clip out, push the bearing out from the back, pop a new one in. They're not too difficult. And just a bit of grease. This is literally just for extra water sealing. And I'll just pop back in there. And then just back in with this one as well. Just the same, pretty normal thread. So I did wipe down around this area before I did that, but I'll just give the rest of the frame a quick clean now. Not too bad actually. There's a matte finish paint, I think, so we're not going to be able to put much polish on this. All these cable ties are just making it difficult to clean around here, that's the problem. So you get a lot of build up around these cables. Without cutting these off, there's not much I can do. So I don't have any fluorescent green, yellow, whatever colour that is. There's some paint spatters around here. It looks like it's probably just water based, so yeah, it just comes straight off with a bit of elbow grease. As long as the green paint don't come off as well. It'll take me half an hour, so I won't bore you with that. Let me just give the rest of it a wipe down there. Could be here sometime. Plastic razor blade, look at that, perfect. Doesn't scratch anything either, just comes straight off. Alright, that's as clean as I can get it, so I'm just going to change this gear cable now. I'll say it's a bit sticky. And we're going to service the rear radio. We'll do the clutch, just give it a full strip down. So just push straight out like that. Super easy on Shimano. Some of the SRAM units are pain in the arse when you need to come change your cables. My god, you take the shifter off, take the cover off. Stupid design. Right, that's out. It's in good condition, but it's not a super slick cable. I can feel, basically, you can feel the strands of the cable there. On a die-drawn cable, it's completely slick, so it makes a big difference. We've got some lube in the housing as well. So on the housing, I'm just going to pull this cap off, and just a little bit of corrosion underneath here. Just going to chop off 10mm, because this cable's way long enough to, actually a bit more than 10mm. Cable's plenty long enough anyway, so that's fine. Then we're down to some fresh cable here. Just open that up. And put a fresh end cap on there. Like that. Let's get a new proper cable. This is a super slick cable, basically a die-drawn cable, so that you don't feel any strands at all now, so there'll be less friction on this one. A bit more expensive, but they do make a big difference. Thread that through the lever. Like that. Like that. I've still got lube on my fingers, so that's basically lubricating the cable at the same time as well, so that feels lovely and smooth there. No resistance whatsoever. And that's straight out the other end. Good. Well, there's no barrel adjuster, so we do need to use just the one on the shifter here. So I'm going to screw that all the way in. It goes a long way, and then unscrew it 2 turns, then you've got some adjustment either way. So that's out the other end now. We'll leave that where it is while we look at this rear derailleur, then we can connect it back up. Right, so we're going to look at this SLX rear derailleur. We're going to do a clutch service on it, strip all the jockey wheels out, strip the main pivot out, basically take it down to as many parts as you can. Give it a good clean and scrape the paint off this as well. It's everywhere. Take these 3s out for the jockey wheels. What I really need is one of these overhead camera things for bits like this. We'll get there. So it's just ceramic bushes in this. There's no actual bearings in this derailleur. I thought there would be in this one actually. There's a Junior 3-way tool as well, by the way. It's not a part tool. I do have a lot of part tool tools to be fair, but I also have just the same amount of Junior, which are very good. And then some non-cycle specific tools such as spanners and Allen keys that are nothing to do with bike brands, which are better. Alright, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to keep this bush here with this bolt and screw this back in so you know which one goes where, because they can be different lengths and the bushes can be different. Just push this bush out in the middle of the jockey wheel. There's 3 2mm screws on this cover here for SLX. Take the clutch off first. On a Shimano, if you're not sure you've got a clutch, obviously if you've got this lever, if you have, then you've got a clutch. What does the clutch do? It stops your chain bouncing around so much if you're bouncing down the side of a mountain. So it basically stops chain slap, stops the chain falling off. Pretty useful bit of kit if you're really seriously off-roading. If you're cycling around town, do you need a clutch? Of course you don't. You can turn it off. You tend to find when you turn it off, it gives you a slightly lighter shift action as well on the lever. So with people that have bought a bike and it's got a clutch and actually never actually go off-road, normally I tell them to leave it switched off, and they notice quite a big difference and they're quite happy. The cover off, so there's the clutch here. It's basically just a spring that you can adjust on here. Band here will clamp around this centre part and put a lot more tension on it. Pulling this in, it's really jerky, and the clutch will need servicing. It should be very stiff, but it should be smooth at the same time. So this is not too bad, but obviously we're going to service it while it's here. And turn the clutch off, and there's much less resistance on the cage. So that all this pieces now will literally just pull straight off. Like that. The seal will come out as well. Like that. And then we're going to take the cage off here. So you need to take this little screw out first. A lot of pressure when you take this spring out. So you've got to basically pull the cage forward to access the screw. But just be really careful, because when this cage goes, my God, it goes. And they're very, very strong. Very carefully take this out. And with 2 hands, you basically just got to unwind this spring. It'll go like this. And that's it, that's the tension just released there. Then you need a 4mm Allen key down here, and that should just split the derailleur. Take note where your spring is as well, because you've got 2 holes down here. So the spring is in this one. And just unscrew that 4mm. That comes out. Big massive spring in here as well. There's a little seal on that as well. Like that. And that's basically that down to as many parts as you want. On the older derailleurs, you can also take this main pivot out here as well. On this one, you don't have that. You have this bolt going through here, but so you can take this bolt out if you want, but they are extremely tight. But it doesn't really do a great deal as long as it's moving. Just get some lube down there when we assemble it. That's all you need to do really for that. So you can pull the clutch lever off as well. Just pop that clip off, and that'll just push through there as well. No point at all taking the screws out. All you got to do then is completely reset your derailleur. If you've got ultrasonic cleaner, now's the time to use it. Gets in all these nooks and crannies that you can't get to with your hand, so that's what I'll be doing. I'll put these pieces in the ultrasonic. The only thing I'm not putting in there is the clutch itself. Don't put that in. How old's this one, guys? Anyone recognise it? Pretty old. Still going strong. Alright, so that's all clean. Actually came up pretty well. Got rid of all the paint as well, I think. It's come up lovely. I've blew it through with compressed air as well. If you've got a compressor with an air gun, that's the best way to get these clean and dry. Basically, all the air lubricant is obviously washed out now, so we do need to get some lube in there. So I'm just going to use this TF2 lube here, GT85, something like that, just around the pivot points. Some may argue this is not necessary. I don't know if he's got phosphor bushes in there or whatnot. But it just feels like the right thing to do to me. I've always done it. Never caused me any issues. And then this is that pivot I was talking about. There's really, really tight one, so just get some lube in here as well. Don't be afraid of putting too much on, because it acts as a corrosion inhibitant as well on this as well. That's moving lovely there. So a couple of different greases. Premium grease. This is a grease for the air shadow clutch. This is the actual clutch grease itself. What I do is put a screwdriver in here very carefully just to open that up ever so slightly. And then that will just push out the middle there. So that's the grease that you can see in there already. It's actually pretty well greased. Don't put it in the middle, whatever you do. It just needs to go on this piece here. Just a light coating like that, that's it. Don't put it down the middle. And then you just reset that back in here. Pull your screwdriver out, that's that. If you do have a sticky clutch, that's all you need to do basically, just grease that piece in there. One thing I did forget to show you is this bolt comes out in the middle of that, it literally just pops out. You might need to hook it out with your Allen key, basically put your Allen key in there and just pull it out. Make sure you get some grease on this, because this is the bit that really seizes on these. Premium grease on there, any grease will do really, to be fair, but push that in there. Reassemble the spring, get some grease on this as well, inside and outside. This big pin one, rather than the hook one, goes on the inside of the derailleur. There's one hole down there for it, so you can't get that wrong. This seal just drops in here. This plate here goes on the end of this. A little bit of grease behind it as well. It just spins around there. Then just hook this in. Remember you had 2 holes? Just make sure you hook it into the one that you had it in. So we were in the back one there like that. I'm just going to start this 4mm just to hold it all together before I spin it around and put that spring pressure back in. So before you wind that through, just push this lever back in, bit of grease on that O-ring, hook it in there like that, and then we can wind the tension back in this derailleur. Just wind it around carefully, like that. Hold it there for a second, it'll hold itself. Bit of Loctite on the end of the little screw. Get it in its hole, it's pretty challenging sometimes, because you're trying to hold the spring pressure back and it's pretty strong. Tighten that up. Carefully let go. Right, so that's that bit in. Clip in. Make sure it's in the right place, it will stop down here on its own, not like that. The jockey wheels, you have 2. There's one that says G pulley or guide pulley. That's the top one. Has its own bush. I've already put some grease on these. Just a little bit of grease in the middle. Put the plates back in here. Put those on there. Drop the bolt through the cage. Drop that in there. There's no arrow on this one for direction. Again, a little bit of Loctite on this. Like that. And we screw this into the back of this cage here. A bit fiddly this bit. You normally end up dropping everything, especially when you're trying to film it. Just get it started, don't get it all the way in just yet, just get it started and spin it around so you can get the other one in. The other one is directional, so there's an arrow here. That's the direction of the chain on the bike. So that's how the derailleur will sit, and the chain will be going in this direction, so that's the right way around. You see an arrow pointing that way, so that goes in there. Nip them up fairly tight, but you're only going into a thin plate, remember, so don't go too crazy. That's good. Then we just got to put the clutch on. Put this through there again. That's the right way. Drop these on here. A bit fiddly these are, but once you've done it a few times, they're not too bad. And that'll just drop in there like that. And that'll hold that in. So as soon as you put that cover on now, basically it traps all this from moving around anyway. There's a little shape in there that locks that into where it should be. And that's it really. So just put this screw cover back in. Maybe one day I'm at 500,000 subs, I can afford a cameraman, so you can help me by clicking that subscribe button. That'd be awesome. Channel memberships, anyone looked at them yet? I've got a few now, I've got 5 or 6 members. Thank you very much, guys. Anybody wants to contribute towards the channel, that's a really super easy way of doing it. Same as Patreon basically, but it saves you leaving the YouTube page. You just click the YouTube button instead. It just adds a couple of quid or whatever to the channel. I've just spent over £120 on tubeless tapes to test for you guys. That's come out of my own pocket. So things like that, it really does help, and it's massively appreciated. So that's basically back together. A little bit greasy, but that's fine. We'll wipe it down when it's back on the bike, so this can go back on the bike. A little bit of grease on this pivot bolt here first. Apologies if I missed anything on that derailleur build, but honestly, it's just so hard to film. Hang that on there, make sure it sits on its B-stop, like that. And just nip that up, not too tight. And this cable will just go straight through. So there's no barrel adjuster on this one. Just be careful when you put it in there that you don't kink it. And that's in there. Pretty obvious on this one where this cable goes. You'll see this here. So it just goes down the middle. If you're not sure, check, because if you get this wrong, I got it wrong once. And on a 12-speed shifter, it changed it into a 9-speed shifter. Basically, just by putting that on the other side, the cable pull goes so wrong, you end up with a 9-speed shifter. It's amazing. So make sure you get that bit right. Right, move this lever once. That's sort of moving. Right, so when I did that, something seated, so you can see how much slack we've got now. That's why we didn't do it fully. Now pull it through, nip it up. I think it had fell out of the lever housing actually. And again, one shift there. Right, that will shift now, no problem at all. I'll nip this up. Confident that'll go on the barrel adjuster at least. We've got enough adjustment. So that's the clutch off at the moment, like that. Put the clutch on, like that. Much stiffer. So while we're setting the gears, we'll leave it off anyway. Should work on both obviously, but it's just easier. Right, leave that there. Right, let's just get this cut down with Shouldn't need to adjust it a great deal now. Don't have cable cutters and you're just trying to rely on pliers. Obviously these are high quality uni or cycle pliers. And to be fair, I don't think they've ever cut anything here. You can do it, but it's a bit, I'll show you. It's very hard work and it starts to just flare that open there. So I would recommend using cable cutters if you can. That's what you end up with. It's not ideal. So here's cable cutters. Just a end cap on here again. Like that. Just had someone drop this off. They want it converted into a flat bar with gravel tyres and whatnot. I think that'll end up being a video because it's a fair bit of work involved in this one. I'll do a big shopping list first, that'll be the main job. Just before we continue, I want to take a minute to thank this channel's ongoing sponsor, sportandleisure.com. Sport and Leisure are a UK-based cycling retailer with thousands of parts, tools, clothing and accessories ready to ship. Their listings are clear with proper descriptions and really good photos of the actual items you are buying, which I genuinely appreciate. Some of the other sites I've had to use, oh my god. And here's the best bit, if something's listed as in stock, it really is, sitting on the shelf ready to go. Better still, you can order before 3 PM and it ships the same day. UK shipping is free on all orders, but if you need it next day, it's only £2.50, an absolute bargain. If you're after new wheels, brakes, or even full group set or levers, their prices are pretty much unbeatable. Now, if you're not in a hurry to buy something right now, it's worth signing up to their mailing list because they have some huge Black Friday and Cyber Monday discounts on the way. In the lead up, I'll be sharing a few teasers here, but if you want to be the first to know when the offers drop, make sure you're signed up to their mailing list. That way you'll get early notice before the best deals sell out. And don't forget, in the meantime, you can still use code BCR10 at checkout on your first order for an extra 10% off the already great prices. So the link's in the description below. Thanks again to sportandleisure.com. I think I'll put these cranks back in now and then we can go through these gears. Alright, just put that in. There's plenty of grease on there. Drop that through there. Once that one's in, I'm pretty sure there should be a wavy washer fitted to the other side on the left hand side. There wasn't one when I took it off, but I'm just going to go and double check because I'm sure there should be something in there. Press fit only on the drive side has a wavy washer. So many different versions, it's just impossible to remember everything over the years. Apparently it just bolts straight on according to Schramm's manual that I've just read. Well, my camera's struggling with focus so much today. I wish somebody could come and train me how to use my camera. It's too complicated for me. Nice camera, but bloody hell. 40 Newton meters. There is no play side to side, so we're good to go on there. I can just throw this wheel back in and go through these gears with a new cable. Make sure they're all okay. I'll probably end up taking this off and cleaning it anyway, but let's just put it in for now. It's a Sunrace cassette, like I say. Sunrace, but decent stuff. I use a lot of Sunrace stuff here. Mostly for sort of 7, 8, 9, 10 speed. And just good stuff. Good value. No issues with it. Let's just put that in there temporarily like that. Let's get a chain on. The chain that came off, which could definitely do some lubrication. See what the wear looks like as well. I didn't actually measure it, did I? Still not going down. I've just made it to the smallest one. I'm just going to actually measure this chain. I don't think I measured it earlier. 0.6. That's okay at the moment. And give it a go. One gear. Almost. Cable's just hitting the spokes there. I'm happy. The B tension looks a bit. Oh my god, shouldn't be up there yet. The B tension's not bad, it's maybe a bit close. See if I can back this off a bit. It's a bit close to the sprocket. I'm really not happy. A bit more on the high limit because it's struggling to get down there. There you go. Kind of there. A good drop of lube's not going to go amiss. Right, let's cut the cassette with that. Just spread some lube. A bit healthier. I can live with that. So before we do the tyres, I'm going to look at this dropper. So it's going to need at least a new inner cable. When do you get this one out? This is an RSP dropper with an external cable. So I'm pretty sure you've got to take the saddle off to get to the bottom of the cable, which is a bit of a pain in the arse, but never mind. Let's do that. I'm just going to take a picture where the saddle rails sit on the clamp at the moment, so I can get it back in the same place. The dropper works when the cables actually decides to do anything. The post is actually pretty smooth, so no issues there. It's just the cable. I've got a feeling this might be a special cable. We'll soon find out. Pretty disgusting. Right, there it is there. Hopefully this one's still attached, the angle will be correct. I'm just going to cover these internals while I finish cleaning this bracket. Plenty of grease in here, but the cable ain't doing much. The actuation looks okay. It's literally just the cable in the housing, I think that's the issue, so we'll take it out of the lever first. I just hope it's a gear cable. There's the lever, and there's a tiny little grub screw here that holds a cable, which is clamped behind it with a cap on it at the end. So I've just got to cut this end cap off first, which is going to be easier said than done. It's been cut pretty close, that has. I think I'm just going to take this lever off, it's going to be a bit easier. You've got to undo this grub screw and get this out at the same time, but it's not been done by an EP1, that's the problem. I think this might just pull off if we just squash it. There you go. 2mm just to undo that cable clamp, just a grub screw. That should come out. Like that. Pull this bit off. Got this frayed bit off, otherwise it's going to be difficult to pull it through. Now, pushing that cable, that's me pushing it from the lever end. It looks like it is a gear cable, just tucked down the middle of this. Yeah, just moved over a bit. Come out. There you go. Right, so that'll just come straight out now. So that's me press it down there. That's the same as pulling the lever. Let go. That's me let go in the lever. It stays down. And then this is me pulling the lever again. Comes up. So it does work quite nicely. I think there might be just about enough grease in there. New cable. Right, so now I've got to try and thread this all the way through. Back out the other side of this hole here, hopefully. There you go. Like that. And that just sits in the middle there. And again, that's just doing its activation thing there. Bit of lube on this liner as well. Like that. Don't just spray it all over the place because you're going to end up on the brake pads. Through the outer casing, this should just come out all the way back at the bar. That feels nice and smooth in there, look at that. Zero resistance in that. And that's back to the lever. Plug that back in there. Again, that's me pulling that now at the bar, replicating the lever action. And it's acting that dropper no problem. Right, so we'll connect that back to the lever. Let's just go through this barrel adjuster first, basically. Lawnmower's back out again, sorry. It's just a barrel adjuster for finely adjusting the cable tension. That's all that does. You need one of those on a cable operated dropper. And I'll show you something useful. So I'm just pulling that with a little bit of tension on there. Sorry, we've got a barrel adjuster, but we do need to be fairly taut already. Tighten that up. This is where you need 3 pairs of hands. And that's that. Got that. So they've got a little bit of slack in here now. Basically, that's what that barrel adjuster is going to get rid of. So we'll do that now. Let's get rid of the slack in the lever now, so that's nice and tight. Good. We'll clamp that to the bar in a second. Right, I'm going to commit and cut this cable because I'm pretty sure I'm happy where that's going to be. So we'll cut this, tuck it behind the lever like this again. Nice and short. Like that. And this is where the Part Tool EP1s really come into their own. Fitting one of these behind a dropper lever, you can't do this with them big massive things that you're crimping cables with. Look at that, it's absolutely perfect. Perfect tool for that job. Right, I'm going to put this back on the bar now and see how it's looking. You can see where it was, there's a little mark on the bar, so let's just try and match that. Not too tight on these either, just enough to stop it spinning around. Like that. And that should be okay now. Why is that not releasing there? Well, it's pretty rubbish now. We know that's a new cable, but even if you operate this now, look, it stays there. It doesn't spring back, so it's not happy somewhere. That's pretty rubbish, that is. The post is extended at the moment, so it's not like it's clamped down. Maybe it's just this lever pivot's too tight. Shouldn't be squeaking like that. I'll back this bolt off for a fraction, I think. 4mm down here. I'm just going to try and back this off, see if that just releases that tension on there. Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, that's a positioner, that's why. That's pretty poor. I need to do some investigation. I'm just trying to work out what's going on there because it's just not working at all. It's not the post, because if I pull this lever here, it's got a really good spring action return on the actual mechanism in the post itself. We know it's a new cable, and it felt super smooth going through. Just this lever, it's just doing nothing basically. I've greased inside the lever as well. There's nothing to it. It's literally just a bolt and a little tiny wavy washer. I've added grease in there, but it doesn't do anything. There's no spring return on it whatsoever. So, yeah, that's rubbish. That's exactly how it felt before I put the new cable in. That's why you would expect it to be the cable sort of binding up within this housing, and that's how it would act. But even with a new cable, it's acting atrociously. I mean, you can get the dropper to move by pulling the lever back with your finger, but that's not how it works. It should just be an on-off like this. This is absolutely useless. Hence, we've got all this. I mean, if you take this slack out of this cable, it really doesn't help. Sort of max that out now. Like that. Press that lever in. And it just feels horrible. It's just got horrible action to it. Right, I'm going to leave that for now. I'm going to go to the wheels because I'm going to run out of time today and I don't really want to leave it on the stand with no wheels. So I'm going to get the wheels cleaned up, put back in the bike, check the sealant levels if possible, and then peruse what I'm going to do with this lever. I think we might need to change it to something else because this is just not working at all. Well, I'm just going to clean these up. I've just messaged the owner to see if that lever has ever done anything. I think he installed it. Maybe it's just the world's worst lever. So I'll see what he says when he comes back to me. It's acting exactly like the cable was not right, but apparently not. It's not the cable. I'm just going to clean these up. These are really nice wheels, actually. Sunringle rims and hubs. Very nice wheels. I think it is holding air pressure. I'm just going to attempt to dipstick it, but I'm not sure how successful that's going to be. So I'm certainly not breaking them off the beads, just to have a look. And he has given me very specific tyre pressures, as I say, to set these two, so we'll do that as well. I'm not doing any work to these. They're sealed cartridge bound and they feel absolutely beautiful. So we're not digging into those. Problem is, if I don't finish this today, I can't get back onto it for another 4 days' time. So I've got to get it at least on its wheels and then see what happens with that dropper. Get my whole hand in the hub. Makes a change. What I'd be interested in knowing is the history behind fat bikes. I'll be honest, I've never looked into it. When did they start? Why did they start? Who uses them and why? Let us know in the comments. I don't see many of them around at all. So before we put it in, I'm going to pull this valve core out. It's a Schrader valve on this one. This is a dipstick you get with your tubeless kits, tubeless syringes. I'm just going to drop it down there. I'm going to leave this wheel sitting here for 5 minutes so everything pulls down the bottom if there is anything. Dip that in there and we should get a bit of a register on here. I'm not expecting to be a great deal in here, but as long as there's some in here, I'll let it sit there for a minute so it can all pull down the bottom. The reason we're cleaning wheels really is to make sure there's no cracks in these rims. Not so much on these wheels, but on a normal wheel. You'll see a lot of cracks propagating from these spoke holes quite often when it's a new wheel time, or at least a new rim time. 9 times out of 10 it's a new wheel. It's not worth rebuilding a cheap no-name hub. It's cheaper to buy a new wheel than pay labour to build one. If you got something nice, like a Dura Ace hub or something, you might consider rebuilding it or paying someone to rebuild it, but unfortunately most of the time it's cheaper to buy a new wheel. Something like this, obviously you'd rebuild it. It's very nice hubs. But for sort of run-of-the-mill services that I do, £200 or £300 sort of road bikes, it needs a new wheel. You're certainly not going to spend £100, £150 rebuilding that wheel. You're going to get a new wheel for £50, £60 all day long. That's still in the tyre. There you go. Now we'll find if it's got any sealant in it. Probably not. There's a bit of water. That's the hole there, so will it seal? Let's spin it around, give it some chance. I don't know if you can hear that, but it's still leaking. I think I've answered the question if this one's got sealant in it or not, because that's done absolutely nothing. There's no sealant there at all, and it's still leaking. Okay, so back to this front wheel now, while that one hisses away at itself. I'm just going to take this out. It's been sat down with the valve at the bottom of the wheel for a few minutes now. See if it shows anything at all. Not a drop. Literally bone dry. No sealant in there at all. So there you go. How much sealant do you put in one of these things? Jeez. Flipping litre. Let me go and check what the recommendation is. Jesus. So the general consensus is somewhere between 2 and 6 fluid ounces. I don't really work in fluid ounces, but that works out on here to be around about, I'm going to go for 100 millilitres, which is this 1 syringe full. So we'll put that in and see how it goes basically. So I'll take the valve core out and we'll inject it through. Victoria sealant, I use this for everything. It's never let me down yet, so I'm fairly confident it's going to seal that massive hole that Dawn's left. Good shake. So yeah, I'm going to put 100 ml in there. There you go. Valve core back in. Right, so this is the one with the actual hole in it. Hopefully we can get this to seal. I'll dipstick it first, but I'm guessing there's absolutely nothing in here. Bone dry. Right, let's get this in here. So I've just quickly spoken to the customer about his lever, the dropper lever, and he thinks it worked for about 5 miles a few years ago and never worked since, so I think potentially we might be changing it to something a bit higher quality, because he said it was only a very cheap one, so it seems to have not done its job. So we might have to revisit that. But I want to get it working because the post itself seems fine. Right, so now we need to put some air in this, and he's giving me very specific air pressures. So let's see what we can find. So he asked me for 11 psi in the back. Let's get over that on this. Come on, that 11. I'll check it with the digital one as well later, but this part one is pretty good normally actually. Right, it's only got air in it. Will it seal that hole? Let's give it a spin. Yeah, I'm going to put it in the bike because it's going to be a lot easier. Still hear it. Feel it there. That was blowing in my face as I was putting that wheel on. The hole was directly lined up with me, so we'll just spin this around and let it do some circulation. Right, so while that's been spinning, I've just read a message. These tyres have been on here 9 years and they've not been topped up since then. Maybe a drop when they were fitted, so that's why they were dry. So hopefully that's sealed the hole. Let's have a look. Beautiful. That was the hole, it's totally sealed. If you're not using this Victoria sealant, guys, do yourself a favour and get it. It's fantastic. It's never let me down yet. That was a big hole, fairly big hole, and I sealed that up straight away. It's absolutely fantastic sealant. I would highly recommend it. So that's sorted, and we've got the right pressure in there, and it's topped up for the first time in 9 years. So bang some air in the front wheel, get it on the floor, and I'm going to do a bit more digging on this lever. See what we need to do to sort that out, because I can't turn it back like that. Right, so it was 9 psi in this front one. 9 psi coming up. Done. It's got a leak somewhere as well. You can hear it. Let's get it in there and spin it around, seal it up. Let that do its spinny thing. True mountain biker, you should know what that is. And if you're as old as me, you should know what that is. Right, we can straighten these bars now, can't we? It looks even fatter now, pumped them up. They were flat before. Oh my God, these things are enormous. I can't wait to give this a quick go actually once it's done, but I've got no saddle on it at the moment, so I can't do that. Utterly ridiculous. Right, so we're going to look at getting a new lever for that dropper, because I don't think that's ever going to work. I think it's just the cheapest of cheap that's failed after 10 minutes and it's 9 years old. This is also the lever for the lockout on the fork. It's upside down. This shouldn't be on the side of the bar, it should be on the other side of the bar, underneath the bar. So we're going to look at together. He's going to send me a few links of what he wants to fit, and we'll see if we can A, sort the dropper post out, and B, relocate this to underneath the bar where it should be. So that would be nice. So I don't think we're going to get that done today, because it's 4 o'clock now. Been on here all day as usual. So I'll get off the stand and set this to one side and revisit next week when we've got some new bits and pieces to fit, to sort this dropper out and get this on the underside of the bar. But apart from that, she's pretty much done, to be fair, and looking pretty nice actually. I quite like this bike. Right, so I've got another lever. I'm just going to change that over now. I'm not very confident that it's actually going to sort the problem out though, but this is just hopeless. I've tried for a while with this cable tension, etc., but it's just not doing the job. It goes back and you can sort of press the saddle down, but unless you do this, it just keeps going down, obviously. So yeah, it's pretty terrible. So I'm going to need to cut off this fresh crimp that I'll put on there. However, this housing is massively long enough to trim off sort of 10mm, so we'll do that. Let's just get this off. So we do need to cut this off now, which is going to be a challenge because it's quite tight in there. So don't forget it's brand new cable, so we want to try and keep this if we can. I'm going to trim about 20mm off this because it's massively long enough anyway, and the new lever is a slightly different arrangement. So the new lever is going to sit on top of this bar like that, and the reason we're doing that is because this RockShox lever on the other side should be underneath the bar. So we'll swap this to the other side of the bike, under the bar, and then fit the dropper lever over it. So hopefully it works because it's going to tidy up this area as well, which is totally not right as it is. So this will sit underneath the bar where it's supposed to be, like that. This is for the lockout on this fork. And the new dropper lever is going to sit next to that on top of the bar. So that will sit there when it's normally ready to be used, and push it down to there when you want to drop it. So you've got room to go down before you start fouling with this one here. That's the problem. So you get it on right about there, it's going to be fine. I'm not particularly confident this is going to sort the problem out, but the post itself is working fine. If you pull the cable manually, it's doing exactly as you want it to do. There's no resistance whatsoever. It just seems to be the lever that's not doing what it should do. So this comes with another adjuster, obviously, which just sits in here like that. So like I say, this cable is so plenty long enough. I'm going to trim off sort of 30 millimeters here, if possible, and then we'll have some fresh cable down here to reclamp. All right, so I'll just push this through the lever end to the post end, pull this through sort of 50 millimeters, chop this and push it back in. And hopefully it'll be okay. It does come with a new cable if need be, so it's not the end of the world. Right, that should be more than enough. That'll be fine. Push this cable through to there. Let's locate it back in the post. Like that. Through the new adjuster for this new maybe going to work lever. I'm not convinced. Just going to go through the lever like so. Then we're going to get this black piece in here with a grub screw on the end, which goes in this hole. And then get the cable through the whole thing at the same time, which is easier said than done when you've got a used cable. It might be getting changed yet. You sort of pre-bend this to follow the shape of the lever. It's going to be well difficult. Zero chance of getting this in here with a used cable. Sorry, I'll be here all day. Literally impossible. All right, I'm going to run the cable that comes with this post because that's not possible. New one's not long enough. So I tried to run the inner that they give you, way too short. So I've put another cable on here now. So the one we fitted to here can be kept for another bike. It'll be work for a front derailleur. Plenty long enough for that. Right, let's see if I can get this through now. These are a pain in the ass, these are. Right, so that's through there as it should be. Locate this into its lever like that, like that, and this will go down. When we move this seat post back down, I've got a bit more slack in this outer, so it's fine. So that will go there. So put a bit of tension on it. I'm just going to nip this up. We do have a full barrel adjuster to play with as well. I'm just going to pull this bit of tension and we'll tighten this grub screw up and see what happens. I'm not hopeful. I think it's just a terrible system all over, basically. I've used these levers before with success, so you never know. Right. It's got a spring. The cable's loose, but we've got a barrel adjuster, so I'll take that slack out with this barrel adjuster. We might be in luck. Nip that up now. Okay. Moment of truth. Does it work? So does the dropper drop at the moment? No. Good. Press the lever. Drops. Let go of the lever. Stays down. Press the lever. Goes up. Good. Totally knew it was going to work. Right, I just tidied this cable end up, same as I did on the other one. Cut it there, put a cap on behind there with my EP1s, put the saddle back on. Right, this is absolutely my least favourite job. Putting saddles on, and just, it's so frustrating. Right, let's get her on anyway. Stop moaning. That's not going to help, is it? I didn't even do that on purpose, I swear. Sorry. Right, try again. So just referring back to the picture as to where this was, and it was around about there. So we didn't loosen this front bolt, so if we just tighten this back one now, we should be pretty much level to where it was as well. Covered in paint still. Right, so that's back on, so I'll drop it out of the stand now, put this seat post where it used to be, and give it a test off the stand. Important on droppers that you actually follow the torque, because if you over torque this, it can affect the operation of the dropper as well. So 5 Newton meters is what it's asking for, which is there. Make sure the saddle doesn't move, which it doesn't, so that's plenty tight enough. Now I can just test this lever so the saddle is not dropping as it is. Press the lever, let go of the lever. Can't pull it up, press the lever. That's doing what it's supposed to do. Good, so this is a bit long. I'm just going to pull it through to the front of the frame now. Finally dropping. Good spring action on that one. And we've got the fork lockout lever where it should be now as well. Good. Calling that done. I'm going to go for a spin. I'll go around the block. Oh my god. Utterly ridiculous. It's so noisy. Oh my god, these tyres. It's the noisiest bike you've ever been on. Oh my god. Hilarious. Let's go through some bumps. Oh wow. Go around the corner. That works as well. Oh, this is certainly different. Yeah, corner is interesting. Past the pub. I found my pub bike got nicked. Once it starts bouncing, it's like a pogo. So I hope you enjoyed that. It's something a bit different again. I do like to keep some variety on the channel. I don't see many of these, but I guess it depends whereabouts in the world you live. Snowy countries, I think they're a bit more popular. Maybe sand, I don't really know. This is probably the second one I've ever seen, but this is quite a decent one. Wasn't a great deal wrong with it, but we did have a work with the tyres. Droppers now working. Derailleur's service gears are actually working quite nicely now, considering the mix and match of parts that are on there, but they are actually working. Droppers are dropping, so that's good. So stay tuned for plenty more content. Like I say, I do keep variety on the channel, and there's certainly a lot more stuff to come. Well, many years worth of stuff to come, hopefully. So if you are enjoying it, then please consider hitting that magic subscribe button. It really does help me out. 100,000 is my target. Got an awful long way to go. Help me out, guys. Thanks for watching.